What's going on, guys? Today's my max effort day. I've seemed to be getting a lot more attention just doing shorts, so I'll make small videos now of individual lifts and I'll turn them into shorts. But basically, this past weekend, the 635 deadlift, I got up past my knees, but where the suit stops is right where the weight pretty much stopped. So now it's like, okay, now I got to change gears. I can get the weight off the ground, I can get it to my knees. How do I get that lockout finished? I'm in love with hitching, which I'm trying to steer away from. Use it basically as like a necessity tool, like it's like do or die. But I want to get away from it, and by June I want to be able to get 635, no issue. So basically, you can use your deadlift suit also as a squat. Now it's set up a little different. The legs are sewn differently, but it still does the same thing. So if you actually suit up, you'll feel it spring you off the ground. Not as much as the squat suit, like I'm saying. I wore some this past weekend, and it's definitely something I'm invested in. But for now, I want to train with this because here in 3 weeks, I'll be deadlifting in it. And then in June, I will be again. So basically, like I can show you and you'll see where it stops. I'll tell you exactly where it stops working. So when I come right here is pretty much right where it kind of starts and stops. And then from here up is nothing. So this whole, literally the whole lockout, there's no assistance to it whatsoever. It just feels like having a sweatshirt on basically. But everywhere else, obviously you have that spring tension. So what I did, and I don't even know if this is a thing that people do or whatever, I've never even, this just came in my head. Set your feet up on a box squat as if you're deadlifting. So with a 16-inch, if I'm deadlifting off the ground, which is gonna be kind of hard, right here is my perfect setup from the bar. You should, basically where my ass is, should be how you get set up into the bar. You're pulling it into your shins, and then it's shooting up. And that is gonna be your perfect stance. So basically, like your whole deadlift spot should be here. You can roll it in, but it's right there's your power. So instead of attacking it that way, where a lot of people would say, okay, let's just deadlift a lot with the suit. Yeah, you might get it eventually, but what this is going to do is this is going to allow you to train it, but in a different way. So now I'll be squatting, and it'll keep that weight throughout the whole way pretty much the same. I'll get to the top, and I'll still be having the same fight instead of deadlifting lighter, where the suit's going to make it easier, and I'm just going to stay light on the top. So yeah, this is something I'm trying. Maybe I'm wrong with the science behind it, but it makes sense in my head. I can really feel it because I don't really do narrow squat. Like I said, I'm a big posterior chain guy, so every time I squat, my legs are way out there and I'm squatting down and then coming up. But I've never really done super narrow, pretty much right where my deadlift stance is. So it's something new I'm trying. It seems to work just for reps, just and then focusing on showing them your chest, keeping everything nice and tight, but it's still helping you spring with the weight and kind of get used to it, but in a different way, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard. So this is basically what it looks like. Like I said, it's literally the same thing as you're squatting. I think I have what, 90, 50, 140. I got whatever, over 200 pounds. So it's not that it's heavy, but now you're matching the lack of oxygen and the momentum. So show the chest, tighten the lats if it's your deadlifting, go down, drive with the heels. Now, a part to that is when I'm coming up, I'm trying to squeeze my cheeks. And you're trying to really focus on the hip through. I think that's where a big correlation is with deadlift, is you want to be able to mimic it without doing it, if that makes sense. So, man, I don't know. It's just something I thought of. I think it works. I feel it. The only way I'll tell is if I can get it. If 3 weeks, if I can get 635, I'm going to dedicate that to this and say that that's why. From a body muscle aspect, it makes sense because when you deadlift, you're pushing the ground off you, right? Same thing you're doing here in a squat. So I really don't think there's any argument there. It's just whether or not it is better than doing a deadlift, which it's hard because you got to train for something, but you don't want to overdo it. So if I'm doing my heavy days on Saturdays, I don't want to come in here on Tuesday and deadlift. I don't want to deadlift twice a week. My form's solid. Learning the suit could use some work, so that's why today I kind of suited up. But yeah, man, I don't know, I think it works right because you're coming off of the box. Your feet are exactly where they are deadlift. So this is my deadlift stance. As you can see, I'm a pretty thick thigh guy, so my thighs rub the whole time. But it's keeping it's literally keeping your legs doing the exact same momentum as they are with deadlift. But now you're focusing on the aspect with the weight on your shoulders to rotate back, which I think does a portion in it. It's got to do something with it because now your weight's in a different spot. You're used to holding the weight out here, so if you could train your body to keep it tight like you're doing the squat, maybe that's enough to get it to lock out and finish. I don't know. This is me trying something new. I'm so early in my career that right now it's just like play around and see what clicks. Not saying I've plateaued, but from missing the big form changes and getting those dialed in, now I'm starting to kind of dwindle a little bit. So I'm still growing. Like that 635 when I did it a month ago was way worse than what it is when I did it this time. So that's definitely an improvement. But man, it's just so aggravating because you're just right there above it. And literally, like, all I tried to do was I didn't try and hitch it. I tried just to get it there to rest for a second and then just do that one big pull through and finish it. But by the time I got to the top, you're so exhausted. You can't breathe in your suit when you're bent over. It's just like, dude, you gotta power it off the floor. And then once you get to that point, you gotta make sure you have enough juice and strength to that top end just to do it. Because like I said, I literally don't feel anything until right pretty much here. So I mean, you gotta think from here to here is the only time you have it. Now, bending your knees up and down is gonna make your difference. So yeah, if your knees are bent here or here compared to here, you're gonna feel a difference. So that's why you wanna work on the low box and you wanna focus on bringing your ass all the way down. So maybe trying a light deadlift from here up would help. Maybe I'll do that next, see how that works. Maybe that's something to try. I've never seen that done, deadlifting off a box. But it doesn't mean that it's not a valid reason. Now you can see, as I'm doing that, I'm struggling off the box. I completely stop my momentum. I stop everything. I collect. And then in your head, you're just rocket ship. Hit it as hard as you can. Now, it feels slow. I don't know if it looks slow, but there's always someone faster. So it's how do you make yourself faster? And man, this is it. You come in here and you work your ass off. This is how you're gonna get faster, for sure. So, yeah. So reading the Westside Barbell Squat and Deadlift Manual, they have a page, 2 pages, specifically designated to eliminate weaknesses. And for the longest time, I focused on the one that says, like, if you deadlift stiff, you lack strong knee extension. So that's why I'll do a lot of, like, knee extension work and a lot of work like this where it's focusing on that extension. So I guess that is a thing with this, is you're focusing on literally the extension off the box, maybe. I don't know. But the other one that I missed says if you can't lock out a deadlift, which I didn't usually have a problem with, most think of an upper back issue, and sometimes they're right. But it can also be weak hips that aren't allowing you to push the proper hip extension. Or you possibly lack hip flexibility, which I don't necessarily think I have a flexibility issue. It can be, but I'm leaning more towards he's almost correct. To me, it's like a mixture of both. I think both my upper back is weak. Now, hold up, backtrack. Weak in a sense that the weight is too much to easily control. If I was in a federation and I try and do that for powerlifting, red flags, right? Not gonna even argue there. Strongman's 100% different. You can push as much weight as you possible as long as you get it locked out. It's yours. So that's where I'm at with it. I think it's a mixture of both, but I definitely agree with the knee extension. I think my knee extension is probably weak, and the hips aren't fully engaging fast enough, because that's where, if you watch the video from the side, that it's still back there. My body, the way the gravity, or how do I want to say this? The way the centering works, you know how it's supposed to all be kind of in correlation to each other. The hips weren't finishing their part. Where if I could have just went, that'd have been it. So now it's like, okay, it's, to me, it's going to be this stage, just from here to here. Now, like I said, it's 635 is not a fucking walk in the park 4-plate that anybody at a fucking gym can do. And I'm using a suit, so I'm already going above what my off the floor strength is, trying to strengthen my hips, which is going to help in the long run, because if your top half's stronger than your bottom half, if you break it and you get it far enough, your top half's probably going to carry you to finish that. Which, like I said, I'm in Strongman, it doesn't fucking matter. You can stiff leg the fuck out of it if you want. If you get it, you get it. That's all there is to it. So that's my focus. So we'll do one more set of these, and then I'm going to switch off and I'm going to record it and just look back and see what it looks like. And maybe I started something. I highly doubt it, because I'm so freaking late into the lifting game. But I've never seen anybody do a deadlift off of a box like that. I've seen deficit, and I've seen the rack pulls, different heights, but I've never seen one like off of a box. So I think if you can train your body enough, like I said, to imagine every time you deadlift off of a box to show your chest and pull the hips through, I might be onto something there. So all right, first let me say, I have never seen anybody do this. I haven't read about it. I haven't seen anything about it. I could 100% be wrong. Somebody could be doing this right now, saying, buy my program because I train you this, blah, blah, blah. This is literally something I literally just thought of 20 minutes ago. Knowing my problem is, when I go to deadlift, being in a suit feels way different than being raw. So when I'm raw, I can feel my spring point, and I can feel where my hips and knees, and I can feel where everything needs to be in the spring. Suit, completely different, throwing me off my game, mostly because I train with it once a week for the past like 5 weeks. So it's still a learning curve, because in that time you don't have enough energy to sit there and do fucking 300 reps. So this is something I'm trying. I'm putting the straps on just for fun's sake, just to keep a grip on it. This bar is dog shit. So my plan here, and what physically, mentally makes sense to me, is if I set up for it, when I squat down, like I'll stand up just like I'm going to deadlift it regularly. As soon as I squat down and my ass touches that box, I say, okay, I know exactly this is where my hips need to be in order to get the most out of this suit. So as soon as my butt touches that box, it is igniting off the floor. And the whole point here is to not only get my start position correctly, because it's one thing when people tell you, hey, your ass needs to go lower. Okay, how much lower? Is it too far in, too far out? Are my knees parallel? Are my knees not parallel? Where is my shit at? Because you can't just be like, well, that was wrong. Okay, why? And it's hard for somebody just to hold you in spot. It's hard for you to find it, because then you're going to be like how I am the past 5 weeks, and you're not going to find shit. So, like I said, that's the plan. We're going to try it. We'll throw up some heavier weight on it. We'll just go by plate, and we'll see how it all turns out. If I can keep my back tight, get my ass to touch it, show my chest to the wall and explode, that should steer me in a direction where my form should be textbook perfect by the mechanics of my body. I'm not necessarily built for deadlift, but I'm not giving that excuse either. You just got to try and figure it out. So this is what it would look like. Right now we're only at 135, so we're nothing heavy. But I'll get set up here. So This is about where my feet go on it now. My suit's on tight, so I'll reach down here. Got way better at touching the bar now. So now my hands are on it. So now you go, oh shit, I'm too late. Now, imagining the box isn't there, this is how I'd probably do it. Probably right there. It's probably where that feels like what I've been doing. And that makes sense why my body is shifting forward. That makes sense why it's not locking out. That pretty much covers almost everything I was thinking. So we'll throw some more weight on. We'll keep doing it. We'll see what happens. The other thing I've been doing is when I come down, first off, let's really make this correct. My feet are wide on the bar at boss. I go to my knuckles with my thumb, wrap my thumb forward against the bar. I rotate my feet in, find my tension point, and then... Now, it feels weird. I'm sure my ass and my angle is perfect. Now, the setup here is weird. You're not in any type of pressure. You have nobody pushing you. You have nobody watching you. So I'll have to look back at the footage and look. It seems to be more springier off the ground, but I really can't tell. I think it's like a mixture of me hitting the box and not having, like when you're sitting on the box, some of your body's gonna release. So I'm not fully tensed up, but I know, okay, that's how far I need to go in order to hit that point. So if you could set your body in a neutral position and as you tap, fixate on that spot, and then you know, okay, when that box isn't there, that's what I need to hit every time. Now, I'll let you say, fuck you, Dylan, you can't do that in a comp. I 100% agree. But your body's gonna remember that. It's gonna remember that, it's gonna remember that. So if you keep training that way, your body's gonna get used to it. And eventually, you're not even gonna need that cue. It's just gonna naturally go. So let's throw some more weight on. So now that we're starting to get up there and working on it, I really want everything as if it was me doing it in a comp. I'm not gonna wear my knee sleeves in a comp. I'm not gonna wear my shoes in a comp because you want as much space between the ground. You want the least amount as possible, right? That's why they make deadlift socks and shit. So usually I wear my Chucks, but when I'm competing at Team Boss, I don't wear any of that shit. And I think that's what helped. I think the knee sleeves get in the way, and I think the shoes just throw me off mentally. I don't know if it's because of the unevenness or what, or too tight, or circulation, or whatever. Don't care. So this is gonna be me matching it. Now, I'm gonna try this, see how it feels, and then we're gonna throw probably another 25 on. And I wanna compare what it's like with the box versus without the box. And then we can see how my body naturally sets up on what it feels versus the speed of both of them. And you also want quality of form. So whichever one corrects, whichever one is fast, and whichever one just simply works better. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Everything else is just fuck off. So. Throw another 25 on. All right, so now we are set up exactly as if I was at Bosch training today to go compete, max effort lift. Same straps, belts on, suit, nothing else, right? Exactly how it is. So we're at a little heavier weight, 365 on the stiff Chinese fucking bar with no hype, nothing. This is when it is going to be heaviest to you. For some reason, shit feels heavy as fucking here anymore, which I'm fine with. Push me to the next level, but we're gonna try it and see. We're just gonna do one as fast as I can. I'm gonna slowly sit back to the box, knowing that the box is there. I'm going to pull out my chest, and as soon as I touch that box, it's spring, okay? And then I'm gonna do another one, and since I can't watch myself, I don't have nobody watching me, I'll watch back later, and we'll see if my body picked up the memory or what it feels it was doing before. We're just gonna see what happens after the box is gone. So you don't want the box too close. I feel like my thighs were hitting it, but yeah, that should be good. Right there's the ass point. So Set up exactly as if you were competing. All right, so that felt pretty good. It felt really fast. I felt like my body was all in connection with air. Obviously, I want to get to the point where there's no box. My body gets set up just like that. I felt like I showed I felt like I showed the chest. I kind of closed my eyes for a second, so I lost my fixation point. That was just me in my head being like, fucking explode it. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna do it without the box, and we're gonna see what feels natural, and then I can watch back the video and see what happens there. So man, I don't know. I feel like the positioning on that felt better. It's just mostly that start, how you pull the slack out of the bar. I just can't seem to quite feel that with the suit on anymore. I feel like it has something to do with my hips. Not sure, so that's why we're doing this today. So that's just something I thought of. I didn't want to drag on it too much. This will be the last we do of it. With me being so close to comp, I really don't want to kill myself, but that was just food for thought today. So thanks for